that we call Uplifted. It's always a joy that we could be here together. And yeah, so we just want to welcome you. So welcome. Yeah. And today we're going to be reading a passage in Second Corinthians. We're going to be talking about endurance and how we go through hard times, don't we? We go through hard times, every single one of us. But God is always standing close to us. So we're going to read 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 9 to 10. Kate, do you want to go for it?
Beautiful. So it's, as Humphrey said, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 9 to 10. It says, we're afflicted in every way, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted but not forsaken, struck down but not destroyed. We're always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifest in our bodies. Now, I just want to give a quick word about this passage. I think this is a really powerful passage.
It is
to encourage us when we're going through times of feeling down or being persecuted or being challenged. And I read this really amazing quote the other day from Corrie ten Boom. I don't know if you know her story, but she was a Jew in Holocaust in Germany, and she was put in a camp for a number of years and lost many of her family members there. And then eventually when she got out, she said, I've experienced his, meaning God's, presence in the deepest, darkest hell that men can create. And I have tested the promises of the Bible, and believe me, you can count on them. So I think that's my first word, to first take hold of these words as a promise to you and know that they can be counted on. But let's look a bit more at this passage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but just to say that that's amazing. What she said there, that's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, just looking into this passage, and when you're thinking of kind of like giants, in the faith, Paul obviously is one of those people that come through, like, ish, this guy like really went for it for God, and he spread the gospel, and he was in it. But we're also surprised that the guy who was so obedient also experienced a lot of hardship. And I think that just says, kind of like the reality of life, that, every single one of us goes through some kind of hardship in our lives. It's not a matter of, if you get hardship, it's just a matter of when. And some of you are going through hard things right now, or maybe you have lost something, you have lost a loved one, or maybe you're wondering, and will I survive in this life? And whatever hardship you're going through, just know that first of all, you're not alone in your experiences. You're not alone, but also you can have hope, isn't it? Isn't it interesting what Paul says there, that we are crushed. He would say we are crushed, but not this. We are, we can feel like we are abandoned, but I know we're not actually abandoned. And I think to know that sometimes when you're going through hard times, you can feel like that. You can feel like, okay, this is so hard. It means I'm forsaken. I'm abandoned. Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I love that. That's true. We can feel abandoned. And I also love the way that I love the message version. It talks about this. Basically, the way the message translates it is to say, they will do to us what they did to Jesus. And Jesus was crushed. Jesus was stretched. Jesus was perplexed. Jesus was really abandoned, and they will try and do that to us. But then it's saying also that Jesus will do among us what he did among them. So what that's saying, excuse me, is that Jesus will bring life in us as he did will bring life among them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and we just have to remember that Jesus Christ is Emmanuel. He's God with us. And often, God will like calm the storm. Sometimes God will calm the storm, and sometimes he calms us in the storm. Sometimes he says, I'll walk with you through it. And I think often he does that when he comes in our pain and sits there and walks with us in the pain. So we hope you can be encouraged that actually God is with you. What are some practical things that we could do or people can do in response to this?
Yep, great question. So we have 3 that we want to kind of encourage you to do. That the first is ask God for direction. Acknowledging that he is the God who's there. As Humphreys just said, we can ask God for direction. So when you're feeling crushed or at the end of your rope, ask God.
Yeah. So maybe that, what do you need from God today?
Mm.
And that should help you to ask that which you need from God today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The second one?
The second is to seek for God's presence. I think sometimes we feel like it's not there until we look for it. Mm-hmm. And then we find God's presence is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like when you're more aware of God's presence in your life, you can actually begin to see Him more.
Yep.
So when you're seeking God, I just want to see you today.
Yep.
Even in small ways, He comes through. So seek. And last one is read.
Yep.
Dive into the past, dive into the Word, because there you find encouragement. You actually find the God's truth, because God's truth never changes, isn't it?
True.
Do you have anything else to add there?
The other thing I would add is if I go back to that quote about knowing God's promises in the darkness, we best do that when we know His Word. And actually in Corrie Ten Boom's story, she talks of carrying a Bible and that being her most precious possession through her life, because that's where the promises were. And it's a good reminder for us to read God's Word, because that's where His precious promises are.
Absolutely. So we wanted to encourage you guys that you can endure what you're going through, not because you are able, but because you have a God who is able, and He's unlimited, and He's standing there with you. And we hope you guys have been encouraged. We need to wrap this up. We hope you guys have been encouraged, because an encouraged person is a growing person. So go and grow.